Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year once again, and best of wishes. Many thanks for joining today's stream. Hopefully, you will find our news segment informative and useful. And in that case, please like the video. I'll leave some commentary. Will be helpful to deal with the algorithm. It is a new year, isn't it? And I can promise you, friends, in this first live stream, first news update of 2026, that I try my best to create more content, more informative and interesting, useful content, not just on YouTube and Rumble, but also on my Patreon and Boosty pages. And on this matter, I will introduce today to Patreon and Boosty communities a new program. Is going to be like a daily vlog type of videos on top of everything else that I will do on the Patreon and Boosty. And from Monday to Friday, if nothing goes wrong, I will publish this vlog type of videos about just some daily routines. It's going to be about life, obviously, generally speaking, and also news and just everything else. Right? Hopefully, community will find it interesting. Already start filming today's episode, and we'll continue during the day. Okay, that's when it comes to announcement, and yeah, that's about it. Even though it's a new year and the world is celebrating, hoping for better days. News, unfortunately, is news field is packed with the tragic reports about tragic developments, which is very sad, obviously. But nevertheless, we have to go through some of those news that, do not really indicate that this year gonna be any less horrifying than a year before. But let's hope for the best at least, right? So news itself, dear friends. First report that I want to share with you is about work of air defense systems on duty past night. TASS news agency, many other media outlets here in Russia, based on Defense Ministry's latest update, reported that 64 drones were intercepted overnight that were launched by Kyiv regime with assistance of NATO. I can give you some details on that. So during the past night, from 23 p.m. Moscow time, on January 1st of this year to 7 a.m. Moscow time, January 2nd, air defense systems intercepted and destroyed 64 Ukrainian fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles. 20 drones were intercepted over the territory of Samara region, 8 drones over the territory of Voronezh region, also 8 over the Saratov, 7 over the Moscow region, including 5 that was directed towards Moscow itself. 6 drones were intercepted over the territory of Ryazan region, 6 over the Rostov, 3 over the Tula region, also 2 over the territory of Belgorod region, and 1 drone over the Kursk, Kaluga, Kursk and Kaluga regions. 1 drone flew from the territory of the one drone flew towards the territory of the Penza region, and 1 towards the Tambov region. All these drones were intercepted there. Maybe some of the drones did manage to bypass air defense systems, and in that case, probably later on we will learn some more on that. But when it comes to these long-range attacks on Russian Federation that are usually orchestrated by NATO member states, well, there was a tragedy, by the way, that happened on during the New Year's celebration on the night of 1st of January, and as a result of terrorist attack of Kyiv regime and its NATO backers in the Kherson region, 27 civilians were killed, among them, and there are 100 people, about 100 people were injured, among them children. And all the media outlets are, of course, reporting about it. So that toll rises in Ukrainian strike on the New Year's party in Russia. So latest update is that as a result of Ukrainian and NATO terrorist attack on the civilians that were celebrating New Year's Eve in the Kherson region, Latest data is that 27 civilians were killed. 31 others are reported as wounded. Russia's investigative committee has stated about it. Initial reports were that 24 civilians were killed. Attack occurred shortly before midnight on December 31st in the Black Sea coastal village of Horley. Multiple drones struck crowded cafe and the hotel, triggering a massive blaze. At least one of those drones were carrying incendiary mixture. 2 children were killed in the attack, and 5 minors were among the injured. The investigative committee had said in a statement on Friday, at least 100 civilians, including guests and staff, had been inside the venue when a terrorist act took place. The statement also said so. Tragedy occurred, unfortunately, in the Kherson region. Dozens of people killed, dozens of people wounded. Yet another confirmation that we are fighting filthy animals, man. We are not fighting humans. We are fighting filthy animals. That's what our Ukrainian Nazis are, and that's what their Western backers are. Filthy freaking animals, man. There is nothing human about them. They knew they were targeting civilians. There was not a military installation around. There were no militaries around. It was a party of civilians, and they knew what they were doing and intentionally targeted this party and burned alive dozens of people. Many public figures here in Russia compared this intentional attack on civilians to tragedy that occurred in Odessa when also Ukrainian Nazis, supported by Western world, burned alive dozens of civilians. What can I say, man? What can I say? How anyone can argue that Western ruling class and their assets are filthy freaking animals and should not be treated ever as a humans? They are not humans, man. Among them, none. And there is reports in Russian media about perpetrators of this mass murder that occur in the Kherson region. It's a terrorist organization of the Kiev regime, Birds of Magyar, so-called, that usually operates with the drones. This information is coming from governor of Kherson region, Vladimir Saldo, and I have no doubts, by the way, that Russian security services, Russian secret services will track every single member of this terrorist organization and will eliminate them. They are walking dead. They are walking dead. All of them gonna die. And a couple of minutes before I launched this live stream, RIA Novosti reported that Ukrainian so-called armed forces, terrorists basically, Ukrainian terrorists, and with the assistance of NATO, terrorist regimes launched a missile strike on the central parts of Belgorod city, causing casualties among civilians again. So 2 people in this case were injured in a Ukrainian armed forces missile strike on central Belgorod. Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov reports, and there's a quote here: their enemy launched a missile strike on the center of Belgorod. 2 civilians were injured, 1 woman with a preliminary diagnosis of traumatic brain injury and barotrauma is being transported by ambulance to the regional clinical hospital. The second victim, who suffered a shrapnel wound to the forearm, is being transported to Belgorod City Hospital. All necessary assistance is being provided, Gladkov wrote on the Max platform. Max is a Russian messaging platform, by the way, quite popular one nowadays here in Russia. Reporter stated that the attack shattered windows in a private home and approximately 40 apartments in 3 high-rise buildings were damaged. Commercial building was also damaged, and 7 cars were destroyed by shrapnels as a result of this attack. Maybe during the day we will learn some more about this yet another terrorist activity of Kiev regime, and they're going to be retaliatory strikes for sure. They're going to be retaliatory strikes from Russian side. Meanwhile, you know, dear friends, that a couple of days ago, enemies of Russia, led by UK and US, launched a massive drone attack on a residency of the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, in the Novgorod region. And even though Kiev regime itself and its NATO backers are in full denial that this attack took place, attack actually happened. Attack did actually occurred, and to confirm, to remove any doubts about it, Russian Defense Ministry have revealed the details of this attack, and also transferred some chips, by the way, from intercepted drones that had data about flight path and the target. This information and this equipment was transferred to military attaché of U.S. embassy here in Russia. So if anyone had any doubts that this attack actually happened, then they should question their sources, right? Because if there was no factual evidences that such attack was organized and conducted, I don't think so many Russian high-ranking officials would make statements about it, and definitely Russian Defense Ministry would not hand over to American military representatives equipment, reading of which will make it clear for American side that indeed such an attack took place. But let's go step by step through these reports. So Russian intelligence agencies have recovered the flight mission file from one of the drones that attacked Vladimir Putin's residence, Defense Ministry reported. We have quotes here. Decryption of routing data showing that the final target of the Ukrainian drone attack on December 29, 2025 was one of their facilities at the Russian presidential residence in the Novgorod region. Attack itself, as you know, dear friends, happened on 29th of December when Kiev regime, with assistance of NATO countries, it was a NATO attack actually, right? Kiev regime is just a excuse, right? Kiev regime is just an opportunity for Western enemies of Russia to sort of play around with plausible deniability. That's all, right? We all know this was a British and American attack. It was a MI6 and CIA orchestrated attack on the residence of the Russian president. No doubts about that, right? So reports are that 91 drones, initially there was some confusions about number of drones that were used during this attack, but well, this is the final reports that 91 drone was used for this attack. All were intercepted, by the way, by Russian air defense systems. But nevertheless, information was recovered from the drones, and as I already said, data obtained from drones flying towards President Vladimir Putin's residence has been transmitted to an American side, has been given to American side. By the way, these mechanical translations from Google Chrome is garbage quite often. And some quote here, decoding of their memory contains content of their navigation controllers of their drones performed by specialists from the Russian Federation Special Services have unequivocally confirmed that the target of the attack was the presidential residency complex, said Igor Kastukov, chief of the main directorate of the General Staff of the Russian Armed Forces. And you can see on your screen right now, by the way, these chips that were handed over to American military attaché. He handed over the materials to representative of the U.S. military attaché's office at the U.S. embassy in Moscow. And even though, by the way, level of degeneration of the Western ruling class, including American ruling class, by the way, political leadership, military leadership is beyond their imagination, right? They all are freaking morons, literally all of them, right? Nevertheless, they're gonna struggle, I think, with their pushing the same narrative of denial that such an attack had happened after this transfer of their devices from those drones, right? They might try to deny, but nevertheless, at least people in this world will question, right, this denial of attack, and which people will ask her, you know what, give us the data. Russians publicly transfer to you these chips. Tell us what was on those chips. How you are denying the stuff. And if US will say there was no confirmation of these chips, by the way, I'm quite sure Russian defense minister will make it public then, in that case, and will humiliate American militaries even further, and American political class, right, even further. I don't think there is any need to humiliate them anyways, right, because nobody in this world with the decency, by the way, has any respect for the Western ruling class anyways, right? They are degenerates, scum of humanity, period, nothing to talk there, right? But nevertheless, let's see how things are gonna develop in this regard. And as I said in my previous updates, dear friends, this residency, according to some reports, this residency in Novgorod region was not just any ordinary residency from many that Russian presidential institution has. It was a special residency because rumors are that there is a command and control center in the area of that residency, in vicinity of that residency, command and control center for strategical forces. And that means that residency, including command and control center, is a part of a Russian nuclear triad. So this was not just attack on the Russian president or president's residency. This was an attack on the Russian nuclear triad. And that's why Russian high-ranking officials made quite a number of strong statements about it. And that's why quite a number of countries worldwide condemn this attack, because yet again, rumors are that this is an attack on a Russian nuclear triad, right? And based on Russian nuclear doctrine, by the way, if Russian strategical forces are attacked, if Russian nuclear triad is attacked, Moscow is in legit right to retaliate with their nuclear weapons. So it's a serious matter, right? I don't think, if you will ask me, I don't think Russian leadership, political leadership, will authorize either nuclear response or either nuclear retaliatory strike on our enemies, or any retaliatory strike whatsoever, right, on decision-making centers of our enemies, on the kill control territory, or in UK, or in US, or elsewhere. I don't think anything like that going to happen. There's going to be no retaliation in this regard. I don't think Russian leadership will authorize even retaliatory strikes on the leadership of this terrorist regime in Kiev. Even though many commentators on internet for several days now are speculating that most likely Russia will use a Oreshnik missile system, and Russia will destroy Bankovo district in Kiev, that where all these governmental buildings are located, decision-making centers, including presidential administration. There are all sorts of rumors, right? How Russia will strike here and there and that kind of stuff. But I don't believe in any of it, right? I don't believe Putin will authorize decapitation strike on a terrorist regime of Zelensky. But whatever gonna happen, by the way, Russia will definitely not retaliate on enemies of Russia that actually organized this attack, orchestrated this attack, and that is a British and US political and military intelligence leadership, right? And because of it, I'm quite sure Western ruling class will be emboldened even further, right? Because this is not the first time they are attacking Russian nuclear triad. There was several instances already, right? And seems like for them, Russian nuclear doctrine, Russian nuclear triad just means nothing, and statements from Russian officials definitely means nothing, right? They just simply don't care, and therefore one might only imagine what they're gonna do next, what they're gonna target next. Russian nuclear submarine, They're gonna sink Russian nuclear submarines somewhere. They're gonna attack what? What they gonna do next? Because they already targeted Russian early warning radar systems that are part of nuclear triad. They targeted Russian strategic aviation, right? Moscow never retaliated for this. Organizers of these attacks, that is London and Washington, first of all, right? And they are attacking now command and control center, allegedly, that is located in that area, right? Presidential residency in Novgorod. They attack now command and control center, and Moscow not going to retaliate again, neither on London or on US. So, I mean, you tell me, dear friends, how far London and Washington will go during the next attack, which is absolutely inevitable at this point, because there is nothing in the place that will deter them, right? Western ruling class has no reverse gear, has no brakes. Only language they understand is force, and the Russian leadership is refusing to use this language, this only language against our enemies that they understand. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Of course, in upcoming days, there are going to be yet another massive drone and missile strikes on military and logistical, potentially energy infrastructure of the Kyiv regime on the Kyiv control territory. And Russian officials, high-ranking officials, probably will say that, well, this was a retaliation for attack on Russian residency. But people are going to laugh worldwide, by the way, because no one would take it as a retaliation. Everyone will understand that this was just yet another pre-planned long-range attack that happens every other week, right? We are inviting, I said a million times before, by the way, with these restraint policies, we are inviting upon us more and more trouble. And if anyone has had any doubts before when I was saying this, well, time did prove me correct, right? Because these provocations, these attacks on Russia is only increasing in force and scale. And this process will not stop until Western ruling class is forced to act differently. And if we are not willing to force them, then why would they change their behavior, their policies towards Russia? Why would they stop this terror campaign and terrorist, and attacks on Russia? They would not. But as I said, the Western ruling class is in full denial. Western propaganda outlets are in full denial of this attack on Russian nuclear triad, on residency of the Russian president. And the Wall Street Journal is among those so-called media outlets in the West that is leading this charge of denial, right? And they come up with the article that U.S. find Ukraine did not target Putin in a drone strike. What? Anyway, the Wall Street Journal published an article citing a source in the American Special Services who confirmed that American forces that armed forces of Ukraine allegedly did not intend to attack Putin's residence. Representatives of the American Special Services stated that Ukraine didn't attempt to attack Russian President Putin or strike one of his residences during their operation using drones. This conclusion was confirmed by CIA, also allegedly, according to Wall Street Journal. And well, what about this? What about these memory cards that was transferred to American militaries yesterday, by the way? What Wall Street Journal going to write about it? Are they going to wait until American militaries will actually investigate the data on these devices from Ukrainian drones, by the way? And most likely these chips are made there in the West, right? So they're not going to have a struggle or hard time reading the data on it, right? They're going to recognize their military chips straight away. Correct? So let's see what Wall Street Journal will say today or tomorrow about this stuff. Will they apologize for spreading their propaganda and misinforming the public? I don't think they will apologize, man. I don't think they will even acknowledge that Russia actually transferred the chips with the date, with the data on it, right, to representatives of the American military attaché in embassy here in Moscow. Anyways, and I don't think, by the way, Western so-called media will say a single word about tragedy that occurred in the Kherson region when 27 people were burned alive by Ukrainian terrorists and their NATO backers. Did you hear anything about it in the Western media? No, you didn't, right? Most likely you didn't. And for whatever reason, or maybe not for whatever reason, but because Trump is engaged in a deception operation against Russia from the beginning, he retweeted or reposted their article of New York Times, right? New York Post, sorry, article of New York Post, which also denies that there was an attack on a Russian residence in the Belgorod region. He did not wait for additional information. He did not wait for nothing, right? He straight away joined this denial company that is taking place in the West. And you tell me why. Why US president acted this way? Why he joined this propaganda? If he personally is not involved and if he was not briefed that US and British military and intelligence are about to launch attack on Russian nuclear triad. He knew, by the way. He knew. He was briefed about it by CIA. Correct? And that's why he was one of the first who joined this deception campaign, this campaign of misinformation and campaign of denial that such an attack take place. Trump is a scum of humanity, by the way. He is a freaking scum of humanity. Garbage, right? Ебать его рот поганый, блядь. That's how it is, man. All of them have to be exterminated, man. Western ruling class has to be exterminated, period. Period, man. None of them are freaking humans. None of them deserve to be treated as humans. That's it. US leadership made the decision to basically tell their citizens not to go to Russia. They advise their own citizens to leave Russia immediately if they are on Russian territory and not to travel to Russia. And I guess soon something bigger gonna happen against Russia, by the way. After attack on this nuclear triad of Russia in Novgorod region, facility of the Russian nuclear triad, I think they have already pre-planned their next phase of escalation, next attack, right? Which is probably going to be much bigger, right? Much more damaging. And they are telling their citizens of US to evacuate immediately from Russia, flee Russia immediately, and not to travel to Russia. This is only explanation, right? Logical explanation. Why otherwise they will say something like that to their citizens that are well treated here in Russia, by the way. If you are a US citizen, you came to Russia as a visitor, tourist, or whatever, you're going to be treated as well as any other local citizen. If you act adequately, you're going to be treated well, by the way. No one going to bother you. No, you're not going to face no dangers, any more dangers that you will face dangers in any other country that you go, by the way, right? Because there is no 100% guarantees. You might go out and something might fall from freaking balcony and a drop on your head and you might die. Things happen, right? But no one going to bother you just because you are American. We all know that, right? And so what the hell is going on then in Washington? What they have planned against Russia now that they are advising their citizens to flee immediately and not to travel to Russia. Something is being cooked. Something is cooking, right? Something is definitely cooking, by the way. And I remind you that even though Western world is in denial that they organized this attack on a Russian nuclear triad, on Russian president's residency, where allegedly this command and control center of strategical forces is located, Well, former advisor of so-called president of so-called Ukraine, Arestovich, said during his interview on one of the YouTube channels that based on his information, and he is one of the most informed people when it comes to affairs of on Kiev controlled territory, right? He was an advisor. He has a lot of sources, and he's not denying that he has a lot of sources, right? And he said that such attack take place. Based on his information, attack actually happened, and he himself is saying that this was not just an ordinary residency, but actually decision-making center of strategical forces. Which means this was a facility of Russian nuclear triad. If true, by the way, I have not seen such a report or confirmation that command and control center of strategical forces are located in that residency. There was no confirmation of these reports by Russian officials, either Russian Defense Ministry or the President's administration or anybody from Russian officials, right? So that's why I'm saying allegedly that's what is there, right? But maybe today, tomorrow, Russian leadership will say why this topic is that important. And maybe they will confirm that, yes, this is a part of Russian nuclear triad. And that's why this is extremely dangerous, right? But yet again, Western ruling class has no reverse gear, no brakes, and therefore, until Russian political leadership will authorize or will make political decision and untied hands of Russian security services and militaries to strike back on organizers of all these terrorist attacks on Russia, including on Russian nuclear triad, I don't think Western ruling class will stop, and they definitely would not listen to any warnings from Russia, no matter from whom these warnings are coming, from Russian president or defense minister or foreign minister or whomever. And they are publicly basically saying that, Russia is bluffing, Russia will do nothing. They're publicly saying, Western elites, by the way, right? Western high-ranking officials are saying it publicly that they don't believe Russia will do anything. They are saying that Russia is bluffing, Russian leadership is bluffing, right? I myself have seen a couple of times these kind of statements being made, and I'm not really that focused on Western media outlets or the interviews of the Western elites, right? Western ruling class. But even I have seen, at least on several occasions, when such statements were made, that according to Western ruling class, Russian leadership is bluffing and will do nothing. And I saw on several occasions, by the way, even statements being made that Russia might not even have nuclear weapons. That's how far in their craziness Western elites have gone, by the way. That they are even questioning existence of the Russian nuclear triad and its capabilities, which is crazy, insane, by the way. I don't know. It's just freaking insane, but yeah, it is what it is, right? I'm afraid at some point, I mean, it is logical, man. Everything that has its beginning has its end also, and I guess this restraint of Russian president probably also has its limits, right? How long he gonna tolerate these constant attacks on Russia by NATO member states? I don't know, man. He has his own calculus. Of course, sir, he knows more than we do, and understandably so. He has access to all the information that there is, right, including classified one. And therefore, we might and we will struggle to understand some of his decisions, including in terms of this restraint, right? He has reasoning to be this restraint, right? Something that we don't know, we have no access to. But nevertheless, I mean, at some point, we have to start retaliating on NATO, by the way. We have to start retaliating on the NATO countries that are directly engaged in this proxy war that West is waging against Russia. And we have to strike back with such a force and scale that Western ruling class will never, ever dare to challenge Russia. That's what is necessary to do, by the way. Otherwise, we will invite even more trouble upon us, man, because they will not stop. Only language they understand is force, and until we will use this language, they will not stop, period, right? It's just, I don't know if one have to be genius to understand this, man. This is So freaking simple, right? Anyways, few more news for this update, dear friends. New York Times come up also with the article admitting basically that US is behind of all those strikes, or most of those strikes on the Russian energy sector that we have seen in recent past, including on the shadow fleet of Russia. Right? If anybody was thinking that it's only Kiev regime and British militaries and intelligence services that are conducting these attacks, and US is standing outside of that and is not engaged there, well, no. Even American propaganda is saying that, you know what, US is in, right? CIA, Pentagon, they are in. And that means Washington, White House is in this business of attacking, business of terrorism, by the way, and terror campaign against Russia. So the New York Times, in its article, the separation inside their unrevealing US-Ukraine partnership admits that while the US posed as a pursuing peace, the CIA secretly supercharged the strikes on Russia itself. The campaign targeting Russian energy production and also admittedly involved targeting civilian maritime shipping in the Black Sea and beyond. As I have been reporting, since the attacks began, only the US possessed their ICR and their physical capabilities to conduct such attacks. Author of New York Times saying the US is waging this war on Russia no matter how much it tries to appear to be peaceful or the pursuing peace, by the way. Even American propaganda outlet, New York Times, is acknowledging that US leadership is engaged in deception operation. That's what they are saying indirectly, isn't it? That publicly, Washington is talking about peace and de-escalation and blah, 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 right? But in reality, US has escalated its attacks on Russia during this administration. That's what is happening. And that's why I'm always saying cheapest talk, by the way. Don't pay no attention to whatever comes out of from these morons, Trump, Wentz, and all the other garbage creatures, by the way, right? That formally are in charge of US. Don't pay no attention to any statements of any representative of the Western ruling class, because they are lying. They cannot be trusted. Cheap talk is cheap. Policies matters, right? And when it comes to policies, by the way, Trump's administration during his first term was conducting terrorist attacks against Russia and leading the charge in this war against Russia. And during his second term, right, US is acting in a very same way. In a very same way. So don't trust those morons, man, those disgusting creatures. That's what it is. When Western propaganda, you were forced to, they have to say sometimes, something that is related to true or it is true. Otherwise, they will lose their influence over their public opinion completely, right? So so sometimes they have to say true. And this is, I guess, the case of that, right? When New York Times is speaking this true, actually. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, yet another Australian mercenary was killed that was fighting alongside Ukrainian Nazis and fascists. So Russell Alan Wilson was exterminated by Russian forces. And this creature, this animal, was planning to have a wedding, by the way, like in a week before he was neutralized, right? This fucking animal was having a wedding and went on safari to kill Russians. Well, Russians teach this bitch a lesson, right? Yeah, there's no more fucking Russell Alan Wilson. He's fucking dead, man. Right? And all of them will die. All these motherfuckers, by the way, that will come after Russians. We will kill them all. We will fucking kill them all, man. There should be no mercy against the enemies of Russia ever, period. So -1 garbage, by the way, from this world. Meanwhile, Lithuania is doing what Lithuania does, acting fascist. It's in their DNA, in their tradition to be this despicable, right? And they are banning Russian language officially. So starting January 1st, their state halted all Russian language public broadcasting, and they canceled Russian language education in schools. And all this is happening while some 40% of their population in Latvia, by the way, is Russian speaker. So they are directly attacking Russian culture, right? When you ban language education on this language, you are attacking culture, right? You are attacking entire group of peoples, right? It's a fascism. You tell me if you disagree with me, but in my opinion, this is clear demonstration of a fascism on behalf of this quasi-state that Latvia actually is. And Latvia is not alone, by the way. Whole Western world is a freaking fascist, right? All of them, by the way. Despicable garbage, right? Entire fucking Western world is a despicable garbage, man, right? All those states are the fascist states that claim to be democracies, all of them, with no exceptions, right? And that's why normal people are disenfranchised, right? And normal people are beginning to wake up and understand in the Western world that something is not quite right there, right? And hopefully this process will continue. And at one point, maybe Western societies, normal people, hopefully will manage to reclaim their own countries, right? But until then, the Western world is going to be despicable garbage as it is right now. And Latvia is no exception, by the way. Do you hear Brussels saying that, how dare you, Latvia, you are attacking culture, you are attacking entire group based on their language or ethnicity or cultural identity. How dare you, Latvia? This is a fascist act. Did you hear anything from Washington, from London, from Brussels, Paris, Berlin, Rome, by the way? They are allowed to talk about democracy and human rights. Did you hear anything condemning these fucking fascists in Latvia? You don't. And you will not hear nothing, by the way, right? Because they are fascists too. They are fascists too, by the way. No matter how many times they're going to say that they are all about humans or human rights and they're defending people and stuff, they are fucking fascists, man. They have no care about anybody, including you. If you are living in the West, don't trust me, but trust your guts. Do you believe your government, your so-called elites actually care about you or your family members or your friends? Really? I mean, do you think they care about you? No, you know that they don't. They don't give a damn about you. This is true, by the way, right? Some people in the West are too weak to face this reality because it's a painful stuff, by the way. Once you acknowledge this, then you have to act on it, right? Then you have to act. Very many people are hiding from the truth because they don't want to do nothing, right? They are too freaking weak. But there are strong ones too in the West, and those strong ones hopefully will act, man, and do something and change Western world. Otherwise, man, humanity will have no option but to take care of it. At one point, we will take care of the Western world, man, and we will teach them a lesson. And it's going to be a hard lesson, man. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be very ugly. But we just had enough of the Western nonsense, man. I mean, everybody hates Western world, man. Everybody hates Western world. And for a reason, right? There's too much of negativity is coming from the West, right? Too much of it. So yeah, Latvia, this fascist entity is doing what fascist entities do, man. They are banning Russian culture, Russian language, attacking Russians, and one day I think a local's gonna do something about it, man. Those Russian speakers, they have to rise up, man. They have to rise up and fight, right? They have to rise up and fight those fascists, man. And they will get assistance. They will get assistance, by the way. I'm quite sure about it. And they will beat the crap out of those fascists. No doubts. And when this happens, some creatures, some despicable garbage in the West will say, you see, non-provoked actions against Latvia, non-provoked. No, they were so peaceful, these motherfuckers, man, so peaceful. They do no wrong, man. They did not ban Russian language. They did not suppress Russian culture. They did not attack Russians. No, nothing of that kind of happened. No, man, they were so freaking angels. And you see Russians rise up and start fighting, demanding rights and stuff, you know? Unbelievable, man. West is so fucking garbage, man. Western world is so done, man. Unbelievable, man. These fucking disgusting animals, man. Right? RIA Novosti is reporting that dozens have killed her in Switzerland in a resort, ski resort. Well, tragedy, by the way. I mean, when it comes to ordinary people, of course, we all feel for each other, right? Because we are ordinary people, by the way. We are no elites, or we are not in the position of dominance or anything. We are just ordinary people. So we feel for each other. And well, this is a tragedy that struck Swiss resort. 40 people allegedly were killed there. At this point, number might be even higher. Fire erupted in a club or cafe or something like that. And until something was done about it, it was just too late. 100 people were wounded, according to reports. Massive tragedy in Switzerland. Israel, another fascist freaking entity, meanwhile, might come up with several new wars, additional wars in 2026, according to Israeli so-called media outlet Channel 12. So Israeli so-called journalists are saying that their fascist state probably will attack a West Bank, will conduct a war against the West Bank, Lebanon, and Iran in 2026. They are not even pretending no more, right? They are so emboldened, these fucking Israelis, man. These fascists. They are so emboldened. They don't care no more. They say, oh, we kill hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza Strip. Oh, now we're going to do the same in the West Bank, by the way. And it's not enough. We need some more blood. That's what Israelis are about. You know, they are scum of humanity. And they're going to go in Lebanon, kill all Lebanese, or as many Lebanese as they can, possibly. They're going to attack Iran again. Of course they will attack, man. Of course. Until humanity will not take care of these fascists, Israel will act in only way Israel knows. Since its creation, by the way, all they do is kill people, innocent people. That's it. That's the essence of Israel, modern Israel. It's a killing machine, right? They just kill innocents left and right. That's all, man. And the Israelis are scum of humanity. Majority. I will not say all of Israelis, but vast majority of Israelis are scum of humanity, by the way. Deserve no respect. They are fucking animals, man. That's what they are. Some 70 to 90% of Israelis are in full support, according to studies, by the way, are in full support of actions that IDF committed against Palestinians in Gaza. So 70 to 90% of fucking Israelis are genocidal maniacs, man. And that is, they are fucking scum of humanity. And I'm done being freaking polite or even slightly trying to be like polite correct or something. Fuck him all, man. Right? Fuck Israel. Fuck Israelis, man. They are fucking scum. That's it. And there was this fucking Israelis, probably their secret services probably are instigating up unrest in Iran, because there are reports that some clashes are happening in Tehran, state institutions being attacked, their buildings, police officers were attacked, and I saw a couple of videos. It's quite a number of youngsters, by the way, right? Quite a number of youngsters, most likely indoctrinated in certain direction of thinking by Israeli and Western propaganda means, right? Most likely, hopefully, Tehran, official Tehran, will stabilize the situation and take care of these traitors. That's all they are, man, traitors. In the time when your country is under attack, in the times when your country is under attack of these fucking Israelis, Zionists, Western world, and you are orchestrating unrest and creating trouble for your people and the country, you are a traitor, man. You should be dealt as a traitor, right? With no mercy. That's it, man. Real talk. Also, another exported Su-34 bomber painted in a desert camouflage with their tail number 795. Export version of Su-34 bomber was spotted, by the way, with tail number 795. And according to unconfirmed information, so far this is 14th Su-34 unit that will be delivered to Algeria. And Algeria is getting, Algeria is arming, by the way, arming big time. And they're getting ready to deter France, to deter NATO and NATO allies, because they're going to be attacked. They know that they're going to come under attack. And they are trying their best, they are preparing. And of course, having a strong air force is critical, for sure. But, well, they should pay more attention. And probably they do, by the way. Algerian military intelligence services should pay more attention to modern warfare, right? Drone operations and stuff. They should prepare their units to conduct operations in specific ways, right? Not just on their own territory, but on territory of enemy, right? Whoever that enemy is going to be, France and whatever other NATO member state or whoever, right? They have to bring pain to their enemies. This is the only way to go forward in any war, by the way. You have to bring pain to your enemy, man. That's how war works. That's it. If you are a pacifist, then never get engaged in the war, because it's ugly stuff, man. But if you are engaged in the war, then do whatever it takes to win this war, man. That's it. And Algerians know this. Obviously, they are preparing, and hopefully, when France will attack, Algerians will take care of France, man. I would love to see France being beaten strongly by whomever, Algeria or whomever. France is an enemy of Russia, so whoever take care of France, I'm gonna applaud, man. Fuck France too. That's it, man. And all our enemies. Why should I have any sympathies towards my enemies? Fuck them all, right? RT is also reporting that Bulgaria, who is led by also some freaking morons, by the way, no surprises there, officially joined the Eurozone on 1st of January. They are abandoning their currency, lev. And okay, Bulgarian people gonna pay a heavy price for their stupidity, right? They allow this to happen. They allow agents of the globalists to be in charge in their country, and they deserve whatever is coming for them, man. People of Bulgaria deserve literally everything that they're gonna go through and are going through. They deserve it, right? So, okay, they want to suffer a little more. Flag one rookie, man. That's it. RIA Novosti is also reporting that, well, currency that will act stronger against dollar, strongest actually, has been named, and this currency is ruble. Last year, the ruble became the currency that appreciated the most against the dollar, according to, or rise the most, by the way. I'm not sure appreciated there is this correct word there. It's probably some mechanical error again in a translation on a Google Chrome. Which is a garbage browser, but yeah, I have to use something else, man. Anyways, last year, the ruble became the currency that most strongly acted against the dollar, according to RIA Novosti's calculations. Thus, compared to December 2024, the ruble exchange rate against the dollar has strengthened by 31%, which is, yeah, man, on one hand, well done, ruble, right? But on the other hand, I'm not sure for Russian economy, for a Russian federal budget, Strong ruble is a good thing. I'm quite sure in opposite. Russia is export-oriented economy, and weak currency is actually better, right? Yet again, for export-oriented economy, by the way, and also even though I mean ruble is becoming this strong, and current exchange rate is like I don't know 77, maybe it's 75 already. Let's check together. Where TASS news agency always has, or used to have at least, by the way, some data about current exchange rate. And where is it? I don't know. Let me check somewhere else. I give you 78.23. Okay. Currently, exchange rate is 78 ruble for a dollar, and this is not good for Russian economy, by the way. So news is quite confusing, or could be confusing, because one will think, yeah, you see, Russian ruble is doing so good, man. It's a great news for Russia. I don't think it's a great news for Russia. Definitely not for economy, in my personal opinion. And you might think, well, if ruble is getting stronger, then price is probably coming down, and you are facing deflation or something. No, man, no. Inflation is still here, and you know how business operates, man. Free market, they will use any opportunity to increase prices, and will be very hesitant to drop those prices, even if currency goes 100% stronger, right, against whichever dollar or whichever other world reserve currency. And that's exactly what is happening in Russia. We just celebrated New Year, isn't it? And as tradition goes, we all are buying certain stuff to celebrate, gifts, and also you have to do Zastolia, right? And yeah, everything is freaking expensive, man. It is expensive, and strong currency is not really stimulating price cuts. No. And I think economical bloc of government have to do something about it, man. They should, I don't know exactly what they can do, but they should demand from businesses that, you know what, you only can have a profit of, I don't know, 15 to 20, 25% max. You go beyond that, and we will fine you so much so that you're going to fucking shut down, go bankrupt, right? There should be limit on the profitability of the businesses, right? At least ones that are working on domestic markets. Correct? Because prices are going wild, man. And maybe central bank or Ministry of Finances are saying that inflation is only like around 7%. I mean, when they last time went to ordinary supermarket that I'm using, for example, maybe they're having so much income that for them this increase in prices means nothing, right? It's like, but for us, for ordinary people, it's fucking big, man, right? And it definitely, inflation on the food, by the way, is higher than freaking 7% that we've been told by state institutions. It feels higher, right? Because everything is getting too fucking expensive, man. And this is not good. This year, it's crazy, man. You go in a store, you buy nothing, and a couple of thousand rubles are gone, man. Every time you go in a store, you buy literally, I don't know, man, nothing. Bread, tomato, something basics, potatoes and stuff. I don't know, man, basics. And money is like disappearing instantly, and it's too fucking expensive. So something has to be done, man. Anyways, at least there is something to buy, right? Okay, so I'm not whining about, by the way, but things are expensive, man, and getting expensive. Okay, by the way, okay, this is it for our news segment for now. Ruble is getting stronger, and yeah, one would expect that prices are coming down, but no, man, no. Businesses, they are fucking, you know how they are. They want to make as much profit as they possibly can, and they don't care about us, about customers. Most of them, by the way, right? And okay, that's how business works. I'm not against free market economy, but there should be limits, right? If you buy potato for certain like 50 rubles, you should not be able to sold it for 200 rubles, man. And potato is cheap, right? Potato is actually different prices, but it's accessible, right? You can buy potato for actually 30, 40 rubles, man. But tomatoes, for example, how on earth tomato costs like 200-300 rubles, by the way, in cheap stores, right? That we use, for example, ordinary people. How it costs freaking 300 rubles, man. And it tastes like shit. It's not even good one, right? If you want to buy tomato that actually tastes like tomato, you have to pay, I don't know, 500 rubles or something. And we cannot afford that shit, and many others can too, I guess. Anyways, I have to end this live stream. Let me check if there was any super chat, by the way, on Rumble, and there was from a Blorp. There was a super chat on Rumble, and I will highlight this right now, if I may. And also I will check Boosty, by the way, just in case there was some question there. So nothing from Boosty. So, by the way, let me highlight this super chat from Blorp, super chat from Rumble, by the way. And thank you very much, Blorp, for your super chat on Rumble and their $5 donation. And comment from Blorp is any culture that promotes assassination and piracy are defining their meaning of lawlessness. Yeah, but yet again, by the way, I would not go in history, but there were famous pirates, right, that were celebrated and still are, to nowadays are counted as a heroes in UK, for example. It's a part of British history, part of British culture. To do piracy, to kill people left and right, by the way, is nothing extraordinary for the Western ruling class. It's just how they are, isn't it? And so, yeah. But I agree with you. I agree with you absolutely. And that's why I'm saying, by the way, people worldwide are just sick and tired of this Western ruling class, right? That is so despicable, and they still are considering themselves to be in a position to lecture others, man, right? About anything. It's just freaking crazy, and it makes you mad, right? It makes you be angry, right? What the hell? When we as a humanity have to freaking put them in their places? When? How long we gonna tolerate this shit, man? All of us, humans. How long we gonna tolerate this Western ruling class, this evil force, by the way, that all it does destroys the lives of millions and millions and millions, by the way. So, thank you very much, Blorp, dear friends. Maybe I was a bit emotional today. I was actually. My apologies for that. But news-wise, hopefully you did find the news segment itself informative and useful. And in that case, please click that like button. Maybe it will help her to deal with the algorithm and leave some commentary. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day. Once again, Happy New Year, dear friends. Hopefully this year will be better than previous one. Hopefully it will be, right? And so yes, let's say goodbye on this positive note. Take care, and see you tomorrow. Bye.